Give a couple more seconds to start letting folks in. All right, great. So before we begin, hi, welcome to our webinar, and we're so glad to see you all here. We'll begin in about a minute, but in the meantime, I just wanted to run through some details with everyone. So this webinar will take about 30 minutes, and that includes time for some Q&A. At any point during the webinar, you can add your questions over in the sidebar. And if you want to test the Q&A sidebar, go ahead. Feel free to use that space right now and just tell us where you're currently located. I'm in Chicago, but I would rather be beachside in Bali right now. But in addition to the sidebar, we also had some questions come through via email earlier today. So we'll be in touch with those folks and maybe touch on those as well if we have time. Also excited to try out a new addition to our webinars. We'll be giving away a Reconstruct branded Yeti thermos at the end of the webinar to one lucky viewer. And I'll basically close my eyes and just choose a name from the list, and hopefully it's mine. Kidding. And at the end of the webinar, I'll also add a link where you can sign up for a free custom demo for your team. So don't miss that. And then I think that's it. So let's get started. Today's webinar is a case study of a recently finished project with our client, ESI Group, USA. They were hired by US Foods to build a large food distribution center in Sacramento. And this is a super interesting project. So I'm really glad we get to have Will here today to run through it with us. And so I'd like to just go ahead and go to the speaker slide. Right, great, perfect. So today's speakers are Will Eveland, and he's from ESI Group USA, and he's an assistant project manager and has been with ESI for a couple of years now. We also have Nick Cundari, who many of you may know if you're already working with Reconstruct on your projects. He's one of our customer success managers, and he's worked very closely with Bill on this project. It's great to have both of them here today, as I don't think we could have two more knowledgeable people on this particular project as it pertains to using Reconstruct. So without further delay, I will hand it off to Nick and Will. And Nick, you can go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, great. So thanks, Summer. So just for a little bit of background on Reconstruct in general, for those that don't know, what we do is we are a web-based platform that integrates reality capture data, drawings, BIM, schedule, and combines all of that to generate a measurable, walkable 360 model of your construction site to be able to show you kind of what is there and what's actually on site versus what should be there, and get that comparison to be able to quality control, remote progress monitor, and kind of verify work that's being done on site remotely. And Will can give a little bit more background on the ESI Group.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Will. So ESI has been around for about 30 years. We are a design build firm that we have our own in-house design side, and we have construction side on the other hand. We mainly deal with food processing, food distribution, beverage, groceries, just about anything that has to do with refrigeration. And ESI has been working with US Foods for quite a while as well, along with other companies throughout the nation. So just giving a little more background on US Foods, they bought this they bought this land in about 2012 and came to ESI in 2016, asking us to design them a new distribution facility for Sacramento, California. We came back with a 300,000 square foot facility for distribution center, along with a truck maintenance facility that's about 10,000 square feet, and a small little pump house and a little pre-manufactured guardhouse. This is located in the McClellan Business Park, which is still in Sacramento County. And then ESI partnered with US Foods again. This is about a 32-acre facility, or 32-acre property, and the facility is 300,000 square feet. About 20,000 of that is office, and the other 340,000 is all warehouse.
Great, well, thanks. So a little bit of background kind of on the relationship between ESI, US Foods, and Reconstruct. we were approached by US Foods and DSI to provide them with a solution to some of the issues that they were experiencing on site, especially as a project that's working in kind of the heart of the pandemic at the time, and still having to move forward, work with a lot of moving parts, a very complex project with a lot of different stakeholders that all needed to be in the know and be able to see the work that was being done on site and verify work, along with dealing with a smaller team on site, a little less travel restrictions, more remote work, while still having multiple teams all sort of working together throughout the day to be able to better stretch the workday and make the most out of a productive site to meet their goals for the project. So the first of those kind of goal issues that we see really across a lot of construction, especially now more than ever, is the need for remote progress monitoring. This comes when you have a team on site that needs to get something, whether it's progress, whether it's quality control, whether it's a question, whatever an RFI, whatever it could be, out to offsite stakeholders, or going the other way, offsite stakeholders need to be able to view the progress and verify things before moving forward with decisions, or gauging where they're at within the project. So it's very important to be able to conduct all of this without having to necessarily fly someone in from a different state, different country, across, even across states, since California is such a large state. Being able to do that remotely is a huge boon. And Will can talk a little bit more about how the ESI Group specifically used it on their project.
Thanks, Nick. So going a little bit more into how ESI used it, one thing I didn't mention earlier is ESI is located in Heartland, Wisconsin, which, if any of you don't know, is located between Milwaukee, Madison, kind of in the middle. And US Foods Corporate is actually located in Rosemont, Illinois, just outside Chicago. So having the ability to use Reconstruct on a project that's halfway across the country was a huge benefit for our design team, along with our project management team and the higher-ups for US Foods. Being able to use Reconstruct to not only see what's going on the project and also seeing any issues that we have through the Reconstruct app really was a huge benefit.
Thanks, Will. So you can see in this video, this is just a quick sort of example of how you could use Reconstruct for progress monitoring. So right now what's happening is you're going from one timeline date to a previous timeline date, and these are two drone footage captures of the same area. What you can do then is actually go through and review certain photos, review the point clouds in comparison, and see the progress being made throughout the project during its lifespan. And you can actually go back and check through specific areas of your project throughout its lifespan and monitor that progress as it goes. So another problem that we tend to see has to do with in-ground embeds, especially before a concrete pour. They can be tricky to get right just as designs change and minor adjustments are made. You really have to make sure that you have them correct, because once you pour that concrete, it's going to cost money to go and core drill through to new openings. And not only now are you redoing work and adding extra work to it, you're also damaging previous work by having to drill into that concrete and relocate these items. And this was something that the ESI Group encountered and was able to resolve. And Will can go into a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, so like Nick was saying, we had quite a bit of issues with our embeds. It being a 300,000 plus square foot facility, we had about over 250 embeds throughout all the site. And one issue we were running into was our miscellaneous metals drawing, along with our architecturals, weren't lining up correctly, or our structurals for that matter, weren't lining up correctly. Some of them were saying 18 inches off the center of the wall, while our miscellaneous metals drawings could have said 24 inches off the wall. So one thing our design team used was Reconstruct to not only tell us if this was going to be correct, because if we didn't have enough space, we couldn't put a goalpost in before a roll-up door, or we'd had to change it to a bollard. Along with Nick was saying, we'd have to do costly cuts to the floor. It would look like an unfinished product. Along with that would extremely damage the strength of the floor as well. So it being a warehouse, we needed at least 7,000 psi per square inch of the floor. So it was a huge benefit for Reconstruct to also not only help us make sure that the flooring was going to be correct, along with making sure that the embeds were placed correct.
Thanks, Will. And you can see a little bit about what Will was discussing in this video. You can see that by jumping into an image from the 2D view, you can actually jump to specific areas within your project that you know might need a little bit of extra attention, and then be able to look through the field of view of the project, check these issues remotely, and be able to verify those locations in a quick, easy walkthrough throughout your project in a way that really just kind of enables people off site to be able to just walk through the project and verify these things like they're there. So similar to embeds, another type of work that can be costly when you have to redo it is trenching. And having to verify those trenching locations is a process that can sometimes take a while, because there's different iterations of design drawings that have occurred. You have to make sure that you're looking in the right areas. You have to make sure that your engineers are out on site to verify everything. You have to bring in your different teams to come and take a look and make sure that everything's correct. And again, if you end up making that mistake and putting that trenching in the wrong spot, you now have a costly issue that you need to resolve that also is going to add time to your project. And an added benefit of looking over trenching and kind of examining that work as you go is you now have a historical record of that work and where it's located, to not only go back and look in case you need to drill for whatever reason, but in certain instances, like Will can describe, actually go back and get inspections done with just the images that were generated.
Thanks, Nick. Just like Nick was saying, one really good example of using Reconstruct was with our sewage line that was over by our trailer washout at our truck maintenance facility. This was placed before I was even on the project, and I didn't even know that it wasn't inspected. So one thing for anyone who's built in California, you know that they kind of baby you in everything that you do has to be examined, has to be made sure it's correct and that it's up to code per California. So that was a big issue, was we didn't get our sewer line for our trailer washout. So one thing, I went back into Reconstruct back to about May of 2021, which was when they were placed. And I got the images and sent them over to the plumbing inspector for Sacramento County, and he actually accepted them based off that. And so that was a huge benefit for us, not only because we got that inspection passed, but also we had poured the concrete for it and had all the inspections for that. So that saved us a ton of money and time right there instead of digging it up.
Yeah, that's great. And to kind of show a little bit of an example in the same vein of what Will was discussing, you can see in this video here a 2D overlay of what we call the orthographic photo, and that gets generated with every point cloud. And what it essentially does is it gives you that top-down view that you can then compare to your drawings in the field live over your actual capture. And then you can actually jump into the capture itself and look to compare the different work that's being done to the actual drawing and verify not just that things are in the proper location, but that they are dimensioned properly and fit within the general site in the correct manner. And then you can see kind of the appearance of the drawing directly over that orthographic photo. So finally, one of the other super common problems that you see a lot on construction sites is a wall. You put in your wall conduit, you sealed your walls, you put up your drywall, you did your painting even, and now all of a sudden you need to go back and potentially change something or mount something to the wall or do some other finishing work that now, as much as you trust your drawings, there's still a little bit of guesswork and you know, mystery almost in what's behind those walls. Uh, and when you have to go back and do work, and that usually leads to having to reopen the wall in a large hole, and verify that everything's there, then re-put up your sheetrock, do all of your finishing work again and again. Just add a lot of rework, cost, and time to your project, in a way that is just, in my opinion, at least one of the most frustrating parts of getting to the end of a project is when you have to go back and it's like, oh man, I'm 90% sure that that electrical wire is not there, but man, if I hit that 10% and that wire's there, then we're really screwed. So being able to just, verify that is a huge benefit, and just a confidence booster when you're working on site. And Will can talk about a scenario, very similar to that, on this project out in Sacramento.
Like Nick was saying, I do agree wholeheartedly. Reconstruct help catch the little details that not a lot of people are going to see. One of the biggest issues was our in-wall conduit. It was actually a floor box for our electrical floor box that was going for the interview room. And one of the issues was when they poured it and then put up the drywall and everything, our electricians forgot to put the conduit all the way up to the ceiling to where they can feed the wire in and everything. And so a big issue was everyone forgot where that floor box was coming. A lot of people thought it was going to be coming off the east wall because that was how our drawings had it. But I actually went in and went back to Reconstruct to when they did that work and saw that it was actually coming out of the south wall. So instead of tearing up all of our east wall and having to redo all that process and all that, all we did was we did a small little 1x1 cut, connected the conduit, fed it all the way up. Luckily, we used flex instead of actual metal conduit, which was very nice. And then we just had a simple, small little patch that didn't take much time at all. Something that could have been a huge miss actually became very minuscule thanks to Reconstruct.
Yeah, great. Well, and as an example here, just kind of in the same type of issue here, as you can see, by going back to a previous image, you can actually go through and mark up certain areas of your image to verify, to point out and say, here's where this is located, here's where this is located. Then you can actually take this marked up image, and actually take a screenshot of it directly, and send that out to stakeholders within your project, either through email or text message, without them even having a Reconstruct account. You can so send a text to your foreman, send a text to your electrical sub, send an email out to your project manager, and have these notes ready to go and documented for them, so that they can then easily address problems ahead of time on the project. So here's just a quick video of some of the work that was done after the fact with the project. And Will, I believe the full video is online at the ESI Group's website, correct?
Yes.
Great. All right, I think.
Okay, we are ready for the Q&A. Just a reminder, we'll start with some of the email ones that came in, but just a reminder over in the audience chat, you can add in any questions you may have, and we will answer them. The one that came through earlier that I really want to touch on through the email, someone who actually couldn't make it today, but they plan on watching the recording. They wanted to know who on ESI's team, if it was ESI's team, was doing the captures, and like how difficult was it?
So that was actually, I was doing the captures out in the site in Sacramento. And how difficult was it? I'd say at first it was a little difficult, as all new technology is. Everyone's going to have a little difficulty at first, but it was really easy to pick up after the first time. Also having the meetings with Nick, him kind of walking me through it. Uh, Before we started using Reconstruct, I believe we used the Insta360 app, and then Reconstruct came out with their own app, which was very easy to navigate and really easy to use. So overall, it was pretty easy to take.
Great. Awesome. Okay. It looks like Bob asked the same question. That's great as well. All right. Feel free to continue adding your questions in. I believe there was here we go. How frequently are these site images captured? Is it every day, every week? That looks like a good question for Will as well.
So that's kind of depending on your team that you want to do. ESI decided to do it just once a week, every Saturday. And if not Saturdays, I would take them on Monday. I discussed all that with Nick. We had a weekly meeting. And so if you have a smaller job site, easily doing them every day, not an issue at all. I would say for these bigger job sites, though, once, maybe twice a week would be very beneficial for your team.
Yeah, and to add on to what Will's saying there, we can customize it and really adapt to whatever timing and everything else for your site works best. And even then, you don't have to capture the full site every time. If there's a specific area, say there's a specific area that you're going to pour concrete on next week that you want to get a good capture of, that's something that you can focus on without having to capture the full site and do it as almost like a supplement to your regular captures.
Great. In addition to that, the same viewer is asking, is there any automated means of progress assessment, like automated comparison with previous captures?
So currently, that's not something we have in the product as of now. It is definitely a long-standing goal to get to an automated means of progress monitoring. We do have some features that we're testing and beta testing regarding certain types of automatic monitoring, but at this time, it's not something that's in the product as of now.
Great. Darren asks, is the image capture tool a point and shoot, or does it have to be 360 view capacity? Oh, sorry, capability. Nick, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. So the general hyperlapse capture is kind of the 360 walk that you see is the most common type. It's a 360 camera. It's going to take the 360 view. However, we've seen captures taken with point and shoot. We've seen captures taken with drone photography. We've seen captures taken with laser scans. I've even seen captures taken with a DSLR camera, just taken in sort of a proper pattern. Essentially, will get you the right overlap and capabilities to generate a point cloud. So we're very hardware agnostic with that sort of thing.
Great. We have a question. Can you describe the standard capture process? I believe we just may temporarily have lost Will. So Nick, do you want to take that over?
Yeah, I'll give it a quick answer while Will's. I think he's having a little technical difficulties. Yeah, the standard process is normally ahead of time before a project happens, or before the first capture of a project. We'll map out a little bit of where to walk and how to best capture your area. From there, it's opening the app on your phone, connecting the camera to it, selecting the location that you'd like to capture, and then just kind of walking through it in usually like a lawnmower pattern to kind of cover the full area. And Will, you can, if you want to walk through questions about how to your standard process for taking a capture.
So the standard process was, I would say, first I'd start off by making sure the camera battery was charged. I ran and did that mistake once or twice, but that was the own fields team issue. Once we got the capture started, I had specific points that we'd start out with, and that was mainly due to working with Nick and Amir towards the start. We kind of mapped out where would be best and how best to walk the job site as it was progressing. This changed probably, Nick, you'd say probably 4 or 5 times. We had to go through new routes and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
all
it
you'd
just
have to
doesn't
do
change.
is all you'd have to do after the capture was just walk that path, and once you're done with that path, you just end the video and then you just upload it. Very simple and very easy process to do.
Yeah, and that upload happens automatically as the after you finish a capture, the capture app automatically uploads your capture.
Great. Any additional questions, feel free to send them through. In the meantime, I'm going to right now send through the link for a demo. So feel free to use this link if you have not used Reconstruct before and you'd like a demo and see how it would work well for your team. So that link right now is in the public audience chat. And for anyone who may not be able to see it, it's reconstructinc.com/request-demo. Or just go to reconstructinc.com and it's in the top right corner, request demo. And while we see if there's any more questions, I would like to go to the next fun topic of the giveaway. I have a list of everyone. Looks like everyone actually stayed through the end. You guys must be pretty exciting. Okay. So I am going to go through and just Oh, I landed in between 2 people. I think I'm going to make the executive decision to just give it to both of them.
I was going to say they're 2 lucky winners right there.
Right? Okay, so I have a Darren C and Edwin F. I will find out what your last names are as well. I will find you and send you an email and get you your special Reconstruct branded Yeti thermos. So very exciting. Don't see any more questions coming through. So with that, we will end today's webinar. And feel free, if any questions come to mind later in the day, you can just respond to your invite email. It comes straight to me and we'll answer any questions you may have, or go ahead and request a demo. Great. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and feel free to check out the rest of our webinars coming up. Cheers.
Have a good one.